after the break, it'll be my pleasure to be interviewing one of the pioneers, the lady that started off the cause for women in harness racing in South Australia, and mobile rolling. We will be joined by Sandra Hutchinson. Mobile rolling fans, it's my great pleasure to be here today with Sandra Hutchinson. People that have been in the industry would know that Sandra was the main driving force behind women obtaining licences and becoming more involved in harness racing, or trotting as it was known in those days. And you can see the results throughout Australia where the lady drivers are dominating a lot of the premierships and feature races. So welcome, Sandra, lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much. And yes, the women are actually driving more than the men in the good hunts.
And so just give us a bit of an idea of when you, obviously I don't think you came from a horse background. You were born in Adelaide, were you?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Where were you living as a young child, sort of thing? You
obviously
went to school?
I was in Torranceville, and then I went to Cowandilla.
Cowandilla. Okay. So how did you get an interest in the horses themselves? Did you?
Just loved them. Loved them from the start, and used to go up to the old Inga shack with my dad and my little brother and that, and there was people there that my dad knew. Rogers was their name, and there was two young girls there, and they had 3 ponies.
Oh, really?
And guess who had the third one every time I went up? And we went up a lot. So I started learning to ride on that, up the hills in Aldinga, those big hills.
So in those days, obviously...
Horses.
Yep. So it didn't matter if it was a pony or a galloper or a pacer or a trotter, you just loved the animal.
Yes. And then it went on with Charlie Leslie.
Charlie Leslie. Yeah. And he was a harness racing or a trotting trainer?
Harness racing, yeah.
And where was he based? Near Weagle somewhere, I suppose?
No, he was, I was in Goldfinch Avenue. He was 2 streets behind me.
Okay. So he raced at, well,
Wayville.
Say it would have been Wayville, yeah. So when you were going to school, you then started to go over and help him?
Yes, I did, yep.
You know, and
down the track and watching everything, learning everything off of him.
So where were they being trained at that time? Was he
Weagle
at Weagle? So would they walk them to Weagle? Or?
He walked them to Weagle,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when in those days there weren't, by the time you started driving, I suppose you're still a teenager when you were driving, did you?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. So you had a job when you left school?
I did, yes.
In retail or something, wasn't it?
I was in Bartlett Tiles, which was just around the corner.
Oh, right, near Cowandilla, yeah. So you then, in those days, they only had, the females only had exhibition races, didn't they?
We certainly did, yes.
So they were
we had a lot of them too. I was looking back through my books, and we did have a lot of exhibition races, and the girls started to pile in, you know, one by one. There was more all the time, even Mildura. They had them up there as well, so we certainly got a lot happening with us there that way.
So do you remember any of those you drove against? I did see an old photo. I think there was one of you when you won one of those races, and I think Josie Justice was driving against there at some stage.
Oh, they were, yeah, she was.
Do you remember any of the others at all?
Oh, goodness. I've got them in the book there.
Oh, you got them in the book there, yeah.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, so I remember Josie, so...
I mean, the girls probably aren't really around much now because they're, you know, I'm 74. I mean, they weren't, you know, kids either, so...
Now, I noticed that you did drive a horse for called Caraman. I think it was one of the first exhibition races at Wayville. Now that was trained by Jeff Stacey. Yeah,
and he was a lovely horse. He won a lot of races. Yeah, and I was lucky enough to grab him for the race that we had there to get us. The winner was able to drive in the big race coming up. You know, a women's race. Yeah.
So that I know that we did an interview a few months ago with Rex Vanstone, and I noticed that his horse Trainover was trained by the late great Bill Shin, and I think you won an Australian women's drivers championships
That's right.
on Trainover.
Trainover, yeah.
He was a half brother to Flyover by Trainer Hanover. So obviously you were down there at Weagle when they were the best of the best, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
You know,
a lot of good trainers and drivers down there all the time. So yeah.
Was Murray Padden training out of Weagle when you were there, or you'd left?
No, him and Lona now. I'm just not quite sure.
They had Mark Avino,
Yeah.
that went off to Brian Gass and won the Inter Dominion.
Yeah. I can't remember really. I
'Cause
haven't
they would
got
have
very
been
much of a memory anymore. So, but he must have been there because I knew them both pretty well.
Yeah, they lived around the corner there somewhere, near Richmond Road somewhere. So in 1978, they let, the board decided to register women as drivers so they could compete against the men. And I think you were, there was probably a few, but I think you were the first one to actually obtain your licence, weren't you?
I think I was,
in
yes.
South Australia. Yeah. So your first win in open company. And I don't know who you may remember. I think it was Hannigan Rose in December '78. So
at Murray Bridge.
At Murray Bridge, was it? Well, Hannigan Rose is no longer with us, and neither's Murray Bridge is, but not the track, not the track. So, where were you training on your own then, or just driving? And then you then went out to Shannon Lodge with the late Malcolm Hann, whose setup was obviously
Fantastic.
it was like, you know, well ahead of its time.
With a lot of hard work too.
Yeah. So you trained in your own right. Your colours were the purple, gold with purple stripes, and the colours that are behind us are the Malcolm's colours, of which. Did you train in your own right out there, or were you just assisting Malcolm because Malcolm had a trainer's licence as well?
For a little while I stayed with the horses, a couple of horses that I had. But don't ask me what they were. And then after that, I just, was driving quite a lot, so it was feasible to just drive for him and wear his colours, and he was the boss.
I noticed in some of your when you were training, I noticed that you won quite a few races, but also a youthful Rossi Sugars drove for you as well. So that would have been a fair time. That would have been in the 70s or 80s, wouldn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So
I probably had a time off. I didn't get suspended much, but I got 6 weeks once.
Oh well, that's.
I know, that was horrible.
Huh?
That was horrible.
Well, these days you just appeal them, don't you?
Yeah. Well, you get away with them all. You see them out here driving now when they still do things wrong. Anyway.
So when you were at Shannon Lodge, you trained for the late Alan Turner with I think his colours are the.
I had his horses before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and he's the white and the blue shamrocks, aren't they? Is that and he's now he's passed, but he was a very strong supporter of Lance Justice when Lance was like here, and then went over to Victoria to be hugely successful, as we all know. Now you were president of the South Australian Rangewomen's Association for, not forever, but a long time.
I think it was about 8 years.
8 years. So you're a life member of that association?
I suppose I am. I haven't. It's defunct now.
Yeah, is it? Oh,
Gone. Nobody bothered to put anything into it or try hard and keep it going.
And so that's what's happened.
That's what happened.
Now, I know that there was a lot of lady drivers invitation races that were organised, I think, between you and the Colin Matthews, that you'd organised a few, and they have now become, Australia-wide, really.
Definitely.
I mean, they used to be exclusively here in Adelaide, but now I think they alternate with Tasmania. I remember being in Tasmania for the last lot, and I think Danny Hill drove 6, a lazy 6. So now I know that you still go to the trots, do you? Or,
I still do, yes.
and I suppose you follow all the all the lady drivers and hope that they win all the races?
Well, I'm so thrilled to let you know that one of my very, very best friends from many years ago, and we used to go up to Queensland, we went up there about 3 times, Gator Pollicino.
Well, Gator's, I was on the board when Gator applied for a licence here, and there's one thing about Gator is that she's a very professional driver, and very rarely makes blues, and you always know that the horse is it's always under control. She's a very, very good driver, and I think she's been a welcome addition to not only the women here, but also the whole industry. That she's, you know, some of her drives, when she's in front or outside the leader, she is a dead set. She would know to the 10th of a second of how fast she's going.
Yeah, she's very...
And that's a sign of a good driver.
I was hoping she'd be here today, and I was going to drag her in at the last minute and just say hello.
Oh, well.
But it didn't happen.
Yeah. So I know that you've done a lot for the Rangemen's Association, and you've won trainers' premierships, and you won their drivers' premierships for I don't know how many years in a row. But then later you've also helped with well, it used to be called the Crippled Children's, but it's now called Novita. And you had a fair bit to do
yes, I did.
with them. Any highlights of your career, either in training or driving, or things that you think, well, you know, other than being a pioneer, and it's easy to say, it's a bit like I suppose the women's AFL now. You know, people are looking at it and saying, well, you know, they can say what they like about it, but in 20 years' time, they'll have a different opinion of it. Now, you've only got to see what a wonderful job Kate Gath's, what a wonderful driver she's become. I mean, she was always born to be, well, she was going to be a legal secretary. She started off, but being Peter Thompson's daughter, but everyone would be so proud of what she's done.
Terrific little driver, isn't she?
Yeah, and then, you know, your Karen Mannings and your Amanda Turnbulls and you know, like you said, Gator Pollicino and Danny Hill. How resilient and strong that little girl is amazing. So anything that you think is, you know, other than starting off in South Australia, the cause for women, which in itself is a marvellous achievement, and you have been, you know, highly honoured for that. I think, did you win the Nevada Smoke Award once for?
Yes, I did, but I can't remember when.
I'm pretty certain that you won the Nevada Smoke Award.
Went up to Queensland.
That was it.
With Gator up there, and we stayed up there like for nearly a week, and had, you know, one lot of races and another lot of races.
No, that would have been when they were down at the Gold Coast and that as well, wasn't it? Albion Park and the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast it would have been.
Yeah, it was the Gold Coast, yeah. So no, I checked up my little cheat sheet here, and you were awarded the Nevada Smoke Award in season 2001. So I'm
getting old now. I can't remember those.
Well, there's none of us are getting any younger. So yeah, you've been with the best. You've had the best trainers. You've trained the best yourself. You've driven some lovely horses. I noticed that when you're at you drove a horse called Smoky Robin, which Mr. Kellner had when you were at Shannon Lodge, and I had Smoky Robin with some friends, and Wally Zilm trained at Pirrie, and we took it to Whaler one day, and my late father was alive, so that's 30 odd years ago, and he said, put $20 on it for me, and I said, well, it's in 2 races, Dad. He said, oh, just back it one up the other. I said, I can't win 2. Well, W. Zilm, it won twice. So I didn't put any money on it, and I was in trouble. I was in trouble.
Well, you always do what your father tells you.
Well, exactly. So overall, what are your thoughts? I mean, I know you're very proud of the women and the way they drive. You've had a great career of helping. Well, you was on Botra for a while. You was on the Range Women's Association. You won their premierships, both driving and training. You know, and you know, I suppose it's pretty easy to say that without you, the ladies driving here in South Australia may have taken 10 or 15 years.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
Yeah, but they all try hard. There's some good ones out there still, a few bad ones, but there's many good ones. They're driving okay.
I think the hardest thing with the girls is you know, in your day, there was no concessions. It was just you just drove against the men. Well,
and you drove different horses all the time.
Exactly. So And that's probably makes it a bit difficult and to be able to be given a chance. I mean, you can see this year with the young drivers we have got, but two of the young drivers in Tiana McMahon and Sam Pascoe have been getting support from big stables, and consequently they fought out the premiership, you know.
Yep.
So anyway, overall, thank you for your involvement in the industry. Everybody knows you. One thing I forgot to say is that you always used to do the fashions on the field. And
oh, yes, I loved that too.
And that was one of your little, you know...
quirks.
Yeah. So
Yes.
in some of the overlays in this interview, there'll be some photos of you when you were younger, and you probably would have been in those fashions in the field. So
Maybe so,
yeah,
but
exactly.
I loved doing it because it was, you know, my mum was a fashion person for Miller Andersons, and of course, you know, little Screwy here would be following her around like anything. You know, Mum, I'd love to have that dress, you know, and so it sort of rubbed off on me a bit like that. So yeah.
Yeah. So those sort of things, I don't know if they still have them, but you were certainly well known for your presence in organising and sorting out those. So
Yeah.
thank you for your time in the industry. I know everybody that knows anything about South Australian harness racing, and especially women, would know the name Sandra Hutchinson.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys anyway, all of you, 4 of you. Thank you very much for doing this today, because I'm not really 100% well, but I feel really good up here, so I might be better.
Thank you.